The Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report. Celtics winners over the Atlanta Hawks, 119-106.
2-0, Bobby.
2-0. Derrick White, the story tonight. Ginormous game. Jaylen Brown said he exploded. 11 of 16, 26 points. Big on the boards, 3 blocks. The Derrick White impact, all encompassing in this game where the Hawks try to double team Jason Tatum, and he's able to throw to Derrick White on the wing. He's able to make a good play from there, and he did that again in this game. 2 of 5 from 3, gets downhill and finishes. Had a huge first half offensive rebound that he turned right into a basket after that. Comes down and scores again as part of that first half run that pushed the Celtics up by as many as 22 in this game. We've talked about it all year. Third best player on the team. I think that's indisputable at this point.
Agreed.
Because he's dominant in his role, and he plays such a narrow role. He touches a bunch of different areas, but he's super aggressive, and that's the big difference I think we're seeing now over last year.
Definitely, Bobby, and he's so comfortable out there. I think that's the part that we're all noticing how much he's evolved from the player that he was, obviously after the trade, but also after training camp, right? I mean, we heard the talks about Ben Sullivan working with him and his shot, and we saw the effects of that. We saw how his shot improved, but it's just so much more with Derrick now. Fast forward, 6-7 months, and all of a sudden he's, like you said, the third best player on this team, someone that gives you opportunities on the offensive end because of guys like Tatum and Brown. When they're double teamed, when they're getting those defensive coverages, White is the one that emerges. He's the one that makes that first step, though, right? He's one step ahead, especially against a team like the Atlanta Hawks. And I felt like they just kept forgetting about him. This is high basketball IQ. It's what he does on the defensive end of the floor. Able to hustle back. He finished with 3 blocks in this one, but also staying in front of guys, making guys uncomfortable like Trae Young and Murray and DeJounte Murray. And in my opinion, like that's obviously those 2 guys are the head of the snake. They're the 2 best scorers for Atlanta, but they also cause a ripple effect when you stop those guys, when you make them uncomfortable. And that was certainly the case in Game 2.
They're dominating that matchup, and we'll talk about the defense in our next video. White exceptional on that end. I think given Young fits in particular, you're seeing them swish across the board, and they look so comfortable in that now. Joe Mazzulla said before the game, White's gained quite a bit of comfort in that role too compared to last year, switching as much as the Celtics do. You look at his offense though, and this is what Tatum talked about post-game. They need him to be aggressive, and it's a whole different game when he is attacking downhill on that weak side, passing out of that area, but still keeping his turnovers so low. He never turns the ball over in this one.
That's what's so impressive, man.
I think he finished with just 3, which is a little high for him even, but the aggression's needed. He's able to get a shot off at this point in the season, and you said they're ignoring him. They don't have any choice if they're trying to lock down Tatum and Brown.
Right. But he's taking full advantage of that, and he knows the tendencies, Atlanta Hawks' tendencies on defense. When he's guarding Trae Young, it seems like he knows he's like a step ahead in terms of coverages. Right. This isn't like a one-on-one thing. Like the help defense is there, but the Celtics, what they're doing in controlling or diminishing Atlanta's backcourt, I just think it's been the story of this series. But what Derrick White also does offensively, I feel like just it's now at the forefront, right? Like before it seemed like it was being overlooked, but now you can't ignore it now. If this game was close, he scores over 30 points in this game. I just think he's someone that's going to get better. He's much more comfortable now in this position, and he's someone that can set guys up. I mean, even when Marcus didn't somewhat have it, or he was kind of cold, he get him open look from behind the arc. He finds him down low and the backdoor cuts. He knows how to get other people involved while also getting himself going and just being effective on both ends of the floor, man. He's just been so valuable for this team, and you're seeing it now at the highest level.
Doing it without the ball in his hands too, which is impressive. The Hawks can't figure that out. They can't solve the Celtics switching. Hawks are trying to do the same thing defensively, and they had varying levels of impact on the turnover game early. Kept that close, I think, by switching as much as they did, playing Okongwu a little more. But White slips, and he always got free downhill for a finish around the rim, slipping out of those switches, and that's how you solve it. Celtics have guys who are willing to do that. Hawks not as much, and Young struggling in this one. They go to Murray. He has that great third quarter, but then Young comes back in the game, and they can't figure that out. The Celtics have 3 guards now. How much did we talk coming into this postseason about how they're going to make that work? Well, Smart's great in this game. Brogdon's great in the bench minutes in the second half, and White the best among them all, even though he's
Yeah.
sharing the backcourt with all these guys.
Yeah, you know, all those minutes, though, there's enough to go around. I mean, we talked about it during the
played all
Celtics
three of them
postgame
together
show.
in the fourth.
Played all three of them together in the fourth. Guys that were tallying, over 15 minutes out of the, everyone that's in the rotation. And that's plenty. I mean, that's enough. And, John brought up, why can't someone like Grant Williams get some minutes or maybe stretch the bench out even further? It's like, well, if everything's working right now, why rock the boat? Why change things if Atlanta Hawks aren't succeeding? I mean, they did have that first quarter, but outside of that, the Celtics tied things up before halftime, and all of a sudden, going into the second half, they have a 20-point lead, and then, late in the fourth quarter, it bumped up to 22. I just think the Celtics are so comfortable right now. They're in attack mode. They're playing at a high level, so keep the rotation the way it is, and let guys like Derrick White shine.
I have a big prediction, too.
What do you got?
Now, as we go into this, Sherrod made the good one.
It's got something to do with Derrick White. Sherrod nailed that prediction.
He said White will be the best player on the Celtics.
Or the most
playoffs.
valuable player in the series, though, right? He said the whole playoffs.
The whole playoffs.
The whole playoffs, okay.
Better than Tatum. I think, and it's probably a similar place to where Sherrod ended up, I think he'll win East Finals MVP, or if they do go on to win the championship, Finals MVP. One of those two, I think White will end up claiming.
That'd be impressive. That'd be impressive, Bob, because that would mean that this would be the norm throughout the entire stretch of the playoffs, which could happen. That could certainly be the case. I wonder how things change, obviously, later on, right? Whether it's the second-round matchup against the Sixers or later on the third round, Milwaukee, whoever's there waiting for them. Do you still see the same sort of rotation? Maybe, maybe not. But in my opinion, you probably will. I don't see things so he has a chance. He has the opportunity to be the most valuable one. But I just think that the opponents, as the opponents get harder or more difficult and more challenging, I think you'll see guys like Tatum and Brown sort of take the mantle more. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
We'll see. What do you think about White? What's the biggest difference from this year of last year? Let us know below. And, of course, check out his reaction to his game as well as Tatum and Brown's on CLNS Media. And we're about to talk about defense. Dominant defense tonight in our next video on Celtics All Access. Celtics 2-0. 90% of teams win their series when they're up 2-0, and that's where the Celtics seem to be heading in this first round.
The Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet.